Let's take a look at practice quiz number 1 on parallelograms. In number 1, it says, given parallelogram MNOP, solve for x and y. So I see that I'm given angle M is 124 and angle O is 2y minus 8. And they are opposite angles, and we know that in parallelograms, that opposite angles are congruent. So that will help me set up to solve for y. So I'm going to say 2y minus 8 would equal 124 to help me solve for y. So first I'm going to add 8, and I get 2y would equal 132. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and I will get y is equal to 66. But then I just need to go back and find x. So x, I notice, is in angle P. And angle M and angle P are consecutive angles. So consecutive angles are supplementary, which will help with this problem. So we could say 124 plus 4x would equal 180, and that'll help me solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 124 from both sides, and I get 4x is equal to 56. And then when I divide both sides by 4, x would equal 14. So I've got x is 14, and then for y, we use the fact that opposite, let me write my little angle symbol better. Opposite angles are congruent to help us set that up. And we got y was equal to 66. So let's look at number 2. It says ABCD is a parallelogram if AB is 5x plus 1. So let's label that. And CD is 3x plus 9. And AD is 7x minus 1. Find the length of AD. So we eventually want to know the length of this side. But what we know about parallelograms are that opposite sides are congruent. So we need to use the two that are opposite of each other to get started. So we've got to say that AB would equal CD. So 5x plus 1 would equal 3x plus 9 is going to help us solve for x. And then we can use that to answer the final part of the question. So let's subtract 3x from both sides because that's smaller than 5x. And we like to keep our coefficient positive with our variable when we can. So then we get 2x plus 1 equals 9. We could subtract 1 and we get 2x equals 8. Then when we divide by 4, we get x is equal to 4. But then that's not the answer because we want to know the length of AD. So we just have to plug it in for AD. So AD will be 7 times x, which we know is 4 now, minus 1. And that would be 28 minus 1, which is 27. So the length of AD is just 27. Let's look at number 3. 3 is about a rectangle. Rectangle ABCD has diagonals that intersect at point E. If AE is 4x minus 9, so let's label that, and EB is 2x plus 5, find the length of AC. So we eventually want the whole diagonal of this rectangle, but we're only given 2 pieces of the diagonals. So we got to think of what do we know about the diagonals of a rectangle. So we know the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent to one another, and then they also bisect each other. So that means that all 4 of these diagonal halves are equal to each other. So like AE, EB, DE, and CE are all congruent to one another. So that'll help get started again because we could say 4x minus 9 would equal 2x plus 5 to help us solve for x. So then I'm going to subtract the smaller one, which is 2x. And I get 2x minus 9 equals 5. Then I can add 9, and I get 2x equals 14. And I can divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 7. But then I'm looking for the length of AC, so I've got to plug it back in. So no matter which one you plug it back into, you should get the same thing because we do know that these are congruent. So 4 times 7 minus 9 is 28 minus 9, which will give us 19. Notice you get the same thing over here. If you say 2 times 7 plus 5, that's 14 plus 5, which is also 19. So all 4 of these pieces, these halves of the diagonals are 19. But they want to know what is AC, which is a full diagonal length. So AC is either 2 times 19 or 19 plus 19. which would end up being a total of 38. All right. Moving on to number 4, it says square ABCD has diagonals that intersect at point E. If ABD, angle ABD, so I'm going to connect my dots here and see that's that angle, is 2x minus 7, and angle DBC, so the one right beside it, is DBC, and that one is 2x plus 5, and then they want to find the measure of angle ABD, which is the first one we labeled. So we first need to find x and then plug it back in again. So what we know about squares and rectangles is in each corner, those are right angles. So all 4 of these would be a right angle if this is a square. So we can say 2x minus 7 plus 2x plus 5 would have to all add up to 90. Then let's combine like terms. So 2x plus 2x will give us 4x. And then negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. And then when we add 2, we get 4x equals 92. And then we need to do one more step and divide both sides by 4. So then x will be, let me see, x will be 23 when I divide. But then that's not the final answer. We got to plug it back in again. So we got to plug it into angle ABD, which is the one I wrote in green. So 2 times x, which is 23, minus 7 would be 46 minus 7. So angle ABD is equal to 39. Let me try to scoot this over there. We got a little more room. So that was the final answer to number 4. All right, last one, number 5 says given ABCD is a rhombus, find the values of x, y, and z. So some qualities of a rhombus that are important are that the diagonals are perpendicular. So that makes y easy to pick out because I know that is automatically going to be 90. And another good property of a rhombus is that the diagonals bisect opposite angles. So these 2 angles right here are congruent, which will help me find z. Because then I know 3z plus 1 would equal 43. I can subtract 1, and I get 3z equals 42. And then just divide by 3. And let me just make sure. Yep, that would just be 14. Okay, so z is 14, y is 90, and then we're just left with x. So notice in our picture here, this diagonal bisected these opposite angles. So all of these angles connected to that diagonal are 43 degrees. So all of them. 43, 43, 43, 43. But that'll help me figure out x because x is part of this triangle right here. And I already know y is 90. And then I have this other angle is 43. And so then I can figure out the one that's missing, which is x. So x will be, let me get a pen. X will be 180 minus 90 minus 43, which will be 47. So x is 47 is our final answer to number 5. We have y is 90 and z was 14. All right, so that's it for practice quiz number 1.